Okay, so new banner drops on December 1st, and we have everybody's favorite rock dropping husbando coming to shake things up.
さて
Alright, so jokes aside, this is going to be a quick one, I hope, because I'm addicted to editing. Someone please help me. But I'm going to be clear here. Since my videos are going to be based on the most efficient comps and synergies, I won't be doing videos on leaks or any unofficial information because these things can change at the last minute and screw up the content. So, that said, we do know that we don't know Zhongli is confirmed, and well, long story short, is that Zhongli is not a main DPS character. Zhongli is a massive burst support and defense character, and this is good. I'm going to tell you why. You see, usually in gacha games, we tend to have a main DPS unit, a control unit, and a tank to defend, a buffer or debuffer, and a healer. It's usually 5 units per team in most games, and translating this to Paimon talk, I'm basically saying that you need a main DPS, a healer, a shielder, and or an enabler, and a healer or support DPS. Now, Zhongli, this guy, he's a support DPS. Shielder combined with control, and if you have him at C6, which you won't, so stop dreaming, he could be a healer at C6. Now that's 3 to 4 roles in one unit. But his comp is what the real issue is when it comes to Zhongli. The best comp I came up with him so far is Ningguang as main DPS and Zhongli as support. This comp has insane synergies, but it's far from being perfect because I don't know who the last 2 units should be, but I'm gonna talk about this later. Also, having Ningguang as main DPS is not exactly great since she's Geo and she loses out on a lot of damage from lack of reactions. Now, I love Ningguang and will most likely be building her, but the hard truth is that Geo does not scale very well towards the end game. And here's a quick heads up to newer players. When watching showcases, right, make sure you pay attention to resonances on the team, support unit buffs, food buffs, 5-star weapons, elemental reactions, and of course the next day impossible god rolled artifacts. These are all important elements to make a character more powerful and seem good, which is why you'll hear people say very often that you can make anyone good in this game, which is true, right? That's true. But that does not mean that everyone is good for that role. Like Amber, for example, could definitely be main DPS. I've seen Amber go through the abyss, like really high levels of abyss by herself. So she is good at DPS, but that does not mean that she should be built as a main DPS, or you should even use her as a main DPS in general. So you might be missing very key information which you need to help decide whether or not you want to build a unit that is being showcased. So just be careful and watch out for those things that I mentioned just now. Anyways, I digress. Back to the Zhongli comp. Now, Ningguang is probably better as a support DPS, a burst support, rather than a main DPS, but I think with Zhongli's release, he is going to make her a far more powerful main DPS unit. So, even though I'm aware that Geo doesn't scale very well in the late game, why am I going to build this duo as my third comp? It's simple. You see, I have much experience with gacha games, and I can clearly see that MiHoYo wants us to use Geo, or they are preparing us for some ridiculously powerful endgame content. Either way, when a company is doing this, you should pay attention. I can see in later stages of the game having a team which can dish out great damage, just not the best damage, and defend at the same time is going to be important for survival themed content. And there just so happens to be a new area coming to the game which is speculated to be survival based. Of course, I'm not going to talk about leaks, but this is why I love leaks and why I find it kind of weird that MiHoYo is like, coming so harsh on the leaks, but I understand because the contract signed and everything. Anyways, it's starting to feel like a gacha game where we have like our glass cannon builds like Klee, which are amazing for timed content because they are low in defense, but they are very, very high at DPS. So they're very good at timed content, but they suck in survival content. Like, try letting your Klee get try getting try letting your Klee get hit by Fatui or anybody that does high DPS, high burst damage, and see what happens to her health. Anyways, now we have defense builds, which are amazing for survival themed content, but those builds suck at the timed content. So we have glass cannon builds for the time content, and now we're gonna have defense builds for survival content. But here's a shocker. Here's why I actually think this is gonna happen, because Dendro is going to bring some damage over time builds, continuous damage, which is going to be, I'm calling it right now, the second half of every Geo defense team. I think that Dendro and Geo is going to be the two things that you tend to put together, kind of like how we have fire and electric, right? I think Dendro and Geo is just going to work so well together, because Geo is going to be able to defend and really get through survival based content and stall for time or whatever else. And Dendro that now gives Dendro the ability to amp up the damage with continuous damage. If you guys know how damage with continuous damage works, it's basically you tend to have higher DPS over time rather than burst DPS. It's weird to explain, but you know, maybe when Dendro comes out I could do a video on that. Anyways, we know Dendro reactions cause stuff like burn-in, which deals damage over time. This is why I'm starting to suspect that this is the direction they are going in. And another point is that Zhongli's skill resonates with Geo constructs, which dish out more damage over time. See my point? You could clearly see the direction they seem to be going in, but I think I've pretty much nailed it, and well, you've heard it here first. This is, of course, why I'm only going to cover the duo comp, Zhongli and Ningguang, because nothing else works with them to the level of synergy that I would like. I mean, you could get characters to work with them, but just not to the level of synergy that I would like them to work, mesh together, you know. For now, I'll be using my first two teams and prepare for future roadblocks, and I suggest you do the same by grabbing Zhongli while you can. Child was obviously a trap banner to to exhaust players' resources and make them spend for Zhongli. That said, they will need to add a little bit of incentive, so I strongly believe that this survival-based content is going to come either during the Zhongli banner or teased enough for the future updates so we could get the picture of the nightmares to come. And also, speaking of traps, the only trap on this banner is Razor and Chongyun, making it look like they're a good pair. Razor and Chongyun is not a good pair. In reality, Chongyun destroys Razor's DPS, so don't put those two on the same team. There are a lot of videos out there talking about why that is the case, so I'm not going to explain it. Razor is great though, so if you could grab constellations for Razor, then by all means do so. And of course, if you have Chi, grab Razor, because he's a good DPS with Chi. If you watch my previous video where I talked about team building a little bit, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about there. As for Yang, I'll be straight with you guys. I think she's absolute trash for what I want to do in the game. But that's my initial impression, and it will definitely change. But I doubt it'll change from trash to, you know, you must build this unit. It's not gonna go from 0 to 100 unless she's like really, really good and I'm missing something extremely big. I do look forward to other YouTubers building her as DPS and support to get some data out of that, because I'm no whale and I can't do it myself. So in my opinion, well, my opinion of her is pretty shallow at the moment. I am, however, going to get her, simply because I won't risk an exclusive unit slipping through my fingers. It's also the reason why I grabbed Diona. You just never know when a unit can suddenly become viable in the future. And I'm really happy I grabbed Diona, because it seems as though double Cryo, double Electro on a Razor team just might, you know, be a good comp. I'm still testing that. Now, all that said, if anything here was useful, you can drop a like and share, because it helps a ton, and I really want my content to journey to as many travelers as possible to get people talking about this, because this is some very important stuff. Of course, subscribe, hit that bell, because trust me, I am only getting started. And don't forget, learn the game and play the cards you are dealt.